Part 50. After the divorce, the ex-wife became a creditor. Author, Ahuan. Chapter 493. Han Qian covered his head and squatted in the kitchen thinking about life. Why is it so strange? It shouldn't be a nursery rhyme. She had already kissed him yesterday, and it shouldn't be possible to treat him with the same attitude as a nursery rhyme. Is it use poetry? It's impossible. This girl also kissed her yesterday. There's no need to do this in the middle of the night. It's impossible for Cai King Hu, because the same thing happened last time when she was not at home. Could it be warmth? Han Qian pushed his body out of the kitchen. As soon as he exposed half of his face, he was met with two sharp sword-like looks from Nuan Nuan. Han Qian quickly shrank back. At this time, he felt like crying. This matter had nothing to do with him. It doesn't matter at all. Why is it always you who gets hurt? Not long after, Tong Yao walked into the kitchen, and Han Qian stood up and forced a smile. I'm hungry. Don't talk to me, go and stay aside. Han Qian walked out of the kitchen obediently. Breakfast was made from nursery rhymes. Yesterday's leftovers were heated up. Several girls were chatting and laughing around the table. Han Qian was holding a bowl in the kitchen and didn't dare to serve it. You have to say he was afraid. What did these girls have to be afraid of? Han Qian didn't want to provoke them, so it was okay now. If he cried, it would sound annoying and he couldn't bear it in his heart. In the final analysis, isn't it just to bully him for his good temper? The atmosphere was weird the entire morning. Han Qian tried to go to the second floor to catch up on some sleep, but he couldn't. He said he wanted to talk to Xian but was stopped by Wen Nuan and said softly. Just make a phone call. Don't put Xian in danger. Han Qian thought about it and it made sense, but he couldn't explain it clearly on the phone. He thought it would be better to talk to Xian about this matter in a few days. Wei Tianchen would definitely give a result in a few days. Han Qian, now I stay at home and don't go out because I don't want to give the hook a chance. After a week, Wei Tian fails to make a deal with Go Depeo, so Han Qian will have a good talk with him. If he can hand over Go Depeo, he will think that this guy hired Go Depeo to cause trouble for him, and he doesn't mind tearing it apart. Shameless. Wei Tianchen would not be so stupid as to hand over Go Depeo. Now Han Qian is staying at home and does not want to give Go Depeo a chance. Drag it, let Wen Nuan bring friends to the house for a purpose. She only has two friends, nursery rhymes and you poetry. It is safer to come to the house with nursery rhymes. After calling Cai King Hu, the worried people are basically there. Yan Qingqing and Ji Jing live in together. If he hooks up with De Pao to cause trouble for both of them, it's not certain who will be in danger. Afternoon. Han Qian was lying on the sofa and fell asleep. The girls were busy with their own things and did not disturb each other. The picture was harmonious and strange. The warmth was generous on the second floor. He came and sat next to him. Han Qian was a little panicked and said softly, I. Han Qian's words broke the silence, and the other three women all looked at him. Wen Nuan smiled at Han Qian, opened the lipstick in his hand and painted it on his lips, and then kissed Han Qian's forehead. Bright red lip prints were printed on Han Qian's forehead. Han Qian's eyes were confused, and the other three women's eyes flashed with a hint of hostility. Wen Nuan said softly, I don't need to be secretive when I kiss you. Before we got divorced, wasn't it common for us to sleep on the same bed and give you a bath and rub your back? Han Qian was even more confused. There was no such thing as sleeping in the same bed and taking a bath together when they got married. Faced with Wen Nuan's threatening gaze, Han Qian fell silent. I don't want to talk, I feel so tired. Then Cai King Hu spoke. Give me lipstick, as if I don't dare. Cai King Hu dared, but she didn't know what it meant to be afraid. Han Qian was so frightened that he ran upstairs. Before leaving, he told the girls to sleep together at night and look at each other, or go home. After 2 days of weekend torture, Han Qian was exhausted mentally and physically. The 4 girls left together to go to work on Monday morning. Han Qian called Yan Qingqing and told him that he didn't want to go to work today and wanted to take a day off. Yan Qingqing had told him repeatedly, "Tell Han Qian to pay attention to safety." I drove aimlessly around the city, drove $1 million luxury car to the morning market in a high-profile manner, ate a fried dough stick, drank a glass of soy milk, stood on the side of the road and smoked a cigarette, and then drove to the city center. In the shopping mall, I made a few calls and hung up in a hurry. After that, he called Cai Qinghu to ask how the repairs on the car were going. Cai Qinghu told Han Qian that it would be almost 2 or 3 days later, but the front of the car was deformed. Cai Qinghu told Han Qian excitedly that the R8 would arrive in 2 weeks. A little impatient. After lunch at the mall, Han Qian went to school to take a look at the 2 children, Li Jiai and Tu Kun, and finally disappeared into a chess and card room. When Han Qian came out, it was already dark. He opened the car door, started the car, and saw looking at the vehicle in the rear-view mirror, a sneer appeared on the corner of his mouth. After going home to eat and rest, Han Qian also asked for leave the next day and repeated what he had done yesterday. Early on Wednesday morning, Han Qian got up early, got dressed and went to Shuncheng Group. At 9 o'clock, Wang Kai and Wen Ryu arrived at the company. They were talking and laughing when they got off the car. It seemed that they had forgotten what happened to Wang Kai's brother, or that it didn't happen to them and they didn't pay attention to it at all. As the vice president of the company, there are countless people who flatter Wang Kai, hoping to gain his appreciation and take further steps. Wang Kai enjoys this feeling very much. In his 40s, he has reached the level of earning 1 million per year now. He is very satisfied and proud of his work for one person. Wen Ryu naturally also enjoys the flattery and praise brought by her husband. Holding her husband's arm, Wen Ryu said softly, "Husband, I'm so happy to be able to marry you." Wang Kai felt the collision of his wife's breasts, lowered his head and smiled lustfully. "Then should you take good care of me tonight?" Wen Ryu blushed and replied softly, "How about adding warm water to jelly?" In the past, Wang Kai had a family, a well-educated wife and a lovely son. The reason why he was able to marry Wen Ryu was because of this woman's skills in bed, her freedom and courage, which allowed Wang Kai to regain the confidence of a man. In his eyes, Wen Ryu was 100 times better than that woman who had to turn off the lights when living as a couple. Wang Kai hugged Wen Ryu and asked her if she wanted to go to his office. Wen Ryu nodded with a blushing face. Just when the couple was about to have sex in the day, a harsh brake sound broke their flirting. Wang Kai's face turned ugly and he turned around and shouted, "Who did it so early in the morning?" Before he finished speaking, Wang Kai threw away Wen Ryu and trotted out of the main gate of Shuncheng, with a face full of flattery and shouted, "Brother-in-law, why are you in such a hurry so early in the morning? If anything happens, just give me a call." Wang Kai trotted down the steps, and Han Qian, who had just got off the car, frowned. "I'm looking for Lu Guangming, is it useful to call you?" The tone was full of disgust, but Wang Kai didn't seem to notice it and smiled flatteringly. "The chairman shouldn't have come to the company at this time. Brother-in-law, why don't you come to my office to sit for a while? I just finished calling him. He should have arrived." "Wang Kai, we better not get too close. After all, you and I are not familiar with each other." Han Qian didn't want to have any contact with Wang Kai at all. At this age, he was almost catching up with the old man, and he still talked about his brother-in-law. It sounded disgusting. As for the woman on the steps, Han Qian didn't even think of saying hello. This couple will ignore each other if they can. Walking up the steps, Wen Ryu squeezed out a smile and called her brother-in-law. Han Qian strode into the hall without even looking at him. At this moment, Wang Kai also caught up with him and sent Han Qian into Lu Guangming's office in a flattering manner. At this moment, Lu Guangming was enjoying the harem women's breakfast. Sitting on the sofa, holding a rosary in her hand, the woman opened her mouth after putting the food in her mouth. Seeing this, Han Qian frowned and curled his lips. "Brother Lu, you are enjoying it a little too much." Lu Guangming opened his eyes and smiled. "Isn't life just for enjoyment? Are you looking for me today because of your brother-in-law?" Han Qian strode into the office, sat on the sofa and curled his lips. "It has nothing to do with him." "Oh. Then Xiao Wang, please go out first. My old brother and I have something to say." Lu Guangming's ancestral home is in the northeast. The words old brother and little brother in his mouth almost mean younger brothers. Wang Kai left the office with an embarrassed look and went out to call Wen Ru and told her to prepare something and go see his third uncle tonight. That is when she. In the office, Lu Guangming looked at Han Qian with a smile on his lips and said with a smile, "Regret it?" Han Qian nodded seriously. "Well, I regret it. I didn't listen to the old man's words, and I was in danger. Linmend and Wei Tiancheng set a trap for me. I almost fell into Wei Tianquan's hands. He drugged me. If I hadn't run so fast, something big is probably going to happen. Poison. Aphrodisiac. What do I think it's about? I'm looking for aphrodisiacs for my brother. Not much else. You only have many sisters-in-law. You can pick whichever one you want." Lu Guangming was so bold. Among the two women beside him, the woman in the blue suit gently patted Lu Guangming's shoulder to express her dissatisfaction. Unexpectedly, Lu Guangming pushed her away and cursed angrily. "What's the matter? Why don't you guys help me when my brother is in trouble? Why are you pretending to be a chaste and fierce woman? I raise you to eat, drink and have fun, and I use you to vent my anger. Don't say that my brother doesn't like you, he just likes you. Now, I still have to feel unworthy for my brother, Gun Gun, it's so humming annoying to see you." Another woman next to him laughed sweetly. "What should I do if a handsome young man like Mr. Han doesn't like us?" Lu Guangming turned his head and glanced at Han Qian, pinched his chin and said seriously, "It's very possible what you said." Facing Lu Guangming's generosity, Han Qian said with a helpless smile, "Brother Lu is not angry with me." Lu Guangming curled his lips and said, "Angry? Why are you angry? Are you angry that you didn't listen to me? When I was your age, I was a second-rate person. I was not as good as you, so why didn't I listen to other people's advice? Who didn't have a young man? If you came to apologize, then it's a bit heretical. Brother Lu is different from the rumors." "What are the rumors?" "That I, Lu Guangming, killed my sworn brother to become the leader? I dragged my sister-in-law and sister-in-law into bed? They are right, that's what I did. I never think that any brotherly relationship cannot deteriorate. I value interests, Han brother, if you bring me benefits, then you are my biological brother. If you let me make a lot of money, it doesn't matter if you are my father. I am just so realistic. Of course, we brothers have no competing interests. At most, you can't give it to me. I will ignore you when it brings benefits. With my temper, there is no need to pretend to be hypocritical in front of you, it is of no use." Han Qian frowned and smiled again. "Brother Lu is very honest. There is nothing wrong with coming here today. I just want to apologize to you. If you don't take it to heart, I have to remember it and ask Linmend and Wei Tiancheng what they have done recently." Lu Guangming chuckled. "The two of them put on a show for everyone to see, it's that simple." "Really?" Suliang's guess was absolutely correct, and Han Qian's 2 days of wandering were not in vain. After the divorce, the ex-wife became a creditor. Author, Ahuan. Chapter 494. Lu Guangming told Han Qian what he knew, which also broke Han Qian's previous plan. Wei Tiancheng had not become a loner yet, nor would he become a loner. After chatting for a while and talking things over, Han Qian left Shuncheng. Saw Wan Kai again when he was going out, walked up and patted Wan Kai on the shoulder. Be good, if I don't move you and talk nonsense, I will throw you into the sea to feed the fish. Yes, yes, my brother-in-law said yes. After leaving the company, Han Qian took out his mobile phone and called Lu Shenga. Come on, let's play mahjong. I think I can give you a big gift. Now go to the mahjong parlor in Bazhu and wait for me. I'll be there in the afternoon. Lu Shenga hung up the phone without saying a word. Han Qian curled his lips and dialed Wei Tiancheng. Wei Tiancheng, who answered the phone, was very enthusiastic. Master Han, I've been looking forward to the stars and the moon, and finally I've been waiting for your call. Han Qian opened the door and got in the car, saying indifferently. Director Wei, don't you think that you have forgotten some things after giving me that little money? You said that if I told the Yamanman that you drugged me, then you said that Gao de Peo was the address you provided me. I am sending the recording of your chat with me to Luo Shen, and I am telling you about your startup capital for Feng Lun, Director Wei. You have a lot of information in my hands. On the phone, Wei Tiancheng was silent for a few seconds and then spoke quietly. Master Han has been trying to take advantage of me since the first time he came to talk to me about Feng's Haida. If I had said that I had nothing to do with Feng Lun, would Feng's Haida not have died? Yes, Mr. Wei is really smart. No wonder he has been ahead of Tu Xiao for so many years. Stop talking nonsense and tell me where Go de Peo is. Master Han, I'll give you another 2 million. I really can't find Gu de Peo. Since he escaped from the hotel in the 8th district, he no longer trusts Luo Shen, and I can't find out any news. Master Han, I can't find him anymore. Worried about Go de Pao coming to me. It's still early, don't be in a hurry. After saying that, Han Qian hung up the phone and dialed the number again. This time he cursed after getting through. Lin, you bastard, are you pretending to be innocent with me? Your fiancé and Go de Peo don't know each other clearly, so you let Go de Peo come to trouble me. You're really good at playing. You swore to me that it wasn't you, and at the same time, you let Go de Peo come to trouble me. Is your wife going to do it? Han Qian, why don't you have convulsions so early in the morning? What does I have to do with Go de Peo? It doesn't matter. Wei Tiancheng told me that he was hired by Luo Shen as Gu de Pao. You are blackmailing me for 2 million. Did you calculate that I will not ask anyone to take money for no reason, but can only ask someone who owes me money? Lin Zongheng, you are awesome, you are so awesome. Let me tell you, the agreement between the two of us is broken, and I will kill you when we meet in the future. After hanging up the phone, Han Qian took a deep breath and then called Luo Shanda. Come out and play cards. 3 are missing. Han Qian was haunted and called Lin Zongheng again. He found out that this guy didn't know how to play. He scolded Lin Zongheng on the phone and made him doubt his life. Then Han Qian directly blocked this guy's phone number and called him. It was given to Gao Jiancheng, who declined him politely when he heard about Lu Shenga. The more Han Qian thought about it, the more unhappy he became. This time, instead of harming Lin Zongheng, who was already going crazy, he called Wei Tiancheng. I have been familiar with the mahjong parlor for 2 days, and Han Qian is considered the favorite here. Everyone, male, female, old and young, likes to play with Han Qian. This guy doesn't care what cards the other player plays, just clicks with his eyes closed, and he loses 300 to 500 in one day. Everyone has a lot of money. Lahi. It's just that Han Qian didn't play with them today. He brought a few friends over. Lu Shenga threw a cigarette to Han Qian and frowned. Didn't you say you can only come over in the afternoon? Han Qian took the cigarette and laughed softly. I thought there was nothing wrong, so I came here early. Wei Tiancheng and Luo Shanda will be here soon. Have you brought any money? I won't lose. Lu Shenga was full of confidence in himself, and at the same time he was a little curious about Han Qian's sudden card game. What bad things did this guy do? Now Lu Shenga has to think about Han Qian's every move for a long time. This guy never plays his cards according to common sense. She talked about dealing with him, but in the end, she moved Li Dehai secretly. Luo Shanda and Wei Tiancheng walked into the room together, chatted for a while and started playing cards. It can be said that Lu Shenga's card skills are on par with Han Qian's. He lost 200 chips in less than an hour. It doesn't matter how much money he has. The important thing is that there is no way to accept this result. The main reason was that he was defeated by Han Qian. The more anxious Lu Shenga was, the more likely he was to make mistakes. He lost his temper and said angrily to Wei Tiancheng. You don't know how to give me a bite? You've been holding Po Dongfeng for 2 years, right? Anxious. Wei Tiancheng smiled at Lu Shenga, and then Han Qian spoke. Director Lu is not much better than me. Shut up, winning first doesn't count as a win. Maybe there was Luo Shanda, maybe there was Wei Tiancheng, maybe the other party was also afraid of the other 3 people. They talked about interesting things and mahjong on the table, and not a word was mentioned about other things, including Wei Tiancheng's desire to cooperate with Glory. But when it was getting dark, Lu Shenga suddenly spoke. Director Wei, I recently heard that your relationship with Go Depeo is unclear. There are many fingers pointing at you, which is somewhat detrimental to you. Wei Tiancheng sighed and said helplessly. It's not just Go Depeo, there are also people who say that I have a relationship with Feng Lun. Now I have 2 mouths to explain, and I can't explain it clearly. When will these 2 guys be caught, and when can I be cleared? Lu Shenga sneered after hearing this. I don't want to be caught by the Yamanman. He beat my brother seriously. We can't just let it go. If there is any news about Director Wei, Lu will definitely express his gratitude. Young Master Lu is serious. If there is any news, I will definitely report to everyone as soon as possible. I have recently lost nearly 10 million for a hook. Playing mahjong for 2 yuan and talking about millions of losses, why should there be a few sneers and mocking bragging for not drafting? A few people here are too lazy to argue with a few children. The children nowadays are very interesting. They have 3 or 5 bills in their pockets, and they are talking about cars worth hundreds of thousands of yuan as if they were just a few dozen yuan. At the end of the day's mahjong, Luo Shanda was the first to suggest that the game should be ended. Those with sore waists and backs needed to rest early. Han Qian took a look at the time and it was almost time. He settled the score and prepared to leave. Han Qian lost 500 points, Lu Shenga lost more than 1,000 points, and Wei Tiancheng's poker skills were very good, so he couldn't win without losing. After leaving the mahjong parlor, Han Qian stretched himself as he saw that it was already dark outside. Ah, this thing is really tiring. I'm leaving first. Bye. Walk slowly. Wei Tiancheng said a soft polite word and drove away. Han Qian started the car and walked as usual along the route he had traveled for the past 2 days. After walking about 5 or 6 miles, the car that had been following him for 2 days appeared in the rear-view mirror. Car. A sneer appeared at the corner of Han Qian's mouth. Wei Tiancheng, you still haven't calmed down. This time, Han Qian no longer followed the same route he took 2 days ago. He changed direction and went to the wasteland village where Yan Qingqing was attacked last time. This is the only urban village in the city, and it is also a place without surveillance or street lights. Go Depeo drove his car and followed Han Qian closely, keeping the phone on the line. Little did he know that there was an ordinary Jetta behind him that was also following Han Qian. Han Qian stopped the car at a familiar place. After getting out of the car, he unbuttoned his belt and walked into the dark alley. Guda Pao suddenly increased his speed and picked up the steel rod on the passenger seat. He was not bold enough to carry it around in the city. Guns reigned supreme. The path was so dark that he couldn't see his fingers. Go De Pao could only carefully walk in following Han Qian's whistle. The whistle was getting closer and closer, and a sinister smile appeared on Go De Pao's face. Han. Click. Click. Before the word Qian could be uttered, 4 or 5 bright lights suddenly turned on, and Go De Pao felt as if he was on a stage, with the beams of light illuminating him alone. Han Qian whistled, holding a baseball bat in his left hand and gently landing it on the palm of his right hand again and again. Hook the cannon, once or twice is enough. Can I still be defenseless the third time? As soon as he finished speaking, Guan Degu walked towards him in the darkness carrying a watermelon knife and chuckled. Go De Pao, it's time for us to settle the score, right? You are the first to sell drugs in my master's territory. Tisk, 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 I didn't enjoy beating you that time. You still dare to come? Su Yang held a steel pipe in his hand and waved it to create wind. Go De Pao knew that he had fallen into the trap, and turned around to run away. At this time, the Jetta stopped, and singer Lu Sheng stared at Go De Pao with a wrench in his hand. You're going to humming hit my brother. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After the divorce, the ex-wife became a creditor. Author, Ahuan. Chapter 495. Under the strong spotlight, Guda Pao bent over and held the steel pipe in his hand tightly. His legs were bent and his arms were shaking uncontrollably. The bright red man fell to the ground with a tick and tick sound. Su Yang and Guan Yunbiao were also breathing heavily, and the sticks in their hands were stained with blood. Han Qian squatted on a stone half a man's height, holding a cigarette in his mouth, looking at Go De Pao, and said with a sinister smile. Come on. Play with me, play with Cai King Hu. I'm going to use this trick and suffer such a big loss just to make people force you to do something to me. Do you really think I like playing cards? That's just for you, a fool. Blood flowed from his eyes. Go De Pao raised his arm to wipe it, and growled. Han Qian, I humming admit that I fell into your hands. If you don't kill me tonight, I will kill this bitch Tanjao tomorrow. I don't feel comfortable seeing her condescending bitch. Come on. You kill me in Wasteland Village tonight. Han Qian chuckled. What are you shouting for? Are you waiting for reinforcements? Do you think the person on the other side of the phone will come to save you? Ask him if he dares to come. Do you think I called Lu Diaji over so kindly to take revenge? I am dragging him into the game. Those who make shields, as for those on the phone, if you want to send reinforcements, hurry up. Han Qian jumped off the stone and picked up the baseball bat standing on the side. Seeing this, Go De Pao tensed up and felt a sharp pain in the back of his head the next second. He leaned forward and staggered. The wrench was stained with blood. Lu Shengge frowned. What nonsense are you talking about, mad dog Han? Are you afraid that it will kill you and you won't be able to deal with it? Then I'll just do it. After saying this, Lu Shengge was about to take action. As soon as he raised the wrench in his hand, Guan Yunbiao raised the machete in his hand to block the wrench. Li Shengge frowned slightly and said doubtfully. Are you ready to let him run away? Guan Yunbiao didn't speak. He knew that his brain was not very good. His advantage in this kind of thing was the machete in his hand. He could just leave the conversation to Han Qian. Han Qian shook his head at Lu Shengge and said softly. I'm curious why he hates Cai King Hu so much. Lu Shengge frowned and glared at Han Qian, then sighed and walked aside. Han Qian stepped forward and kicked the steel pipe in Flying Hook Cannon's hand, and took out his mobile phone from his pocket. Sure enough, this guy just called out the location here to ask for help. The phone was still on, and Han Qian whispered into the phone. It's a miscalculation, isn't it? The days are still long, let's take our time and play. After saying that, the other party hung up the phone. Han Qian shouted to Sul Yang. Sul Yang took out a roll of tape and tied Guda Pao's hands and feet tightly, then carried the guy and walked to the car. Lu Shengge frowned at this. Mad Dog Han, what the hell are you going to do again? The police will be here soon. Are you waiting here to be arrested? Find another place. Lu Shengge didn't refute this time. Han Qian's suggestion was correct. In the car, Han Qian asked Go Depao why he hated Cai Qinghu so much. Logically speaking, Go Depao took advantage of that incident. Han Qian was puzzled, and then Go Depao's answer gave him the answer. Enmity. I have no enmity with MSCAI, nor with his father. I just can't stand them. Why? She was also taken away from the orphanage. She, Cai Qinghu, can enjoy the glory and wealth. Grandpa is the leader of a group crocodile, my adoptive father is a high-ranking official in the procuratorate, but I want to be treated as a slave by my adoptive family. Han Qian frowned instantly and said in a deep voice. Are you telling me again that Cai Qinghu was adopted? Why don't I know? You don't know? She doesn't know it herself. I watched her being thrown at the door of the orphanage, and I watched him being adopted by Cai Jiang. She was taken away less than a month after she came. And I stayed in the orphanage for 10 years and no one looked at me. I am a man. I begged Cai Jiang to take me away too. I didn't want to be tortured by that lunatic in the orphanage, but he didn't even look at me. You say I have no value in training, huh? I have no value. I'm going to let Cai Jiang see if I have any value. Han Qian threw Guda Pao on the beach and told Lu Shengge before leaving. Don't kill him, I want to hand it over to the Yeomanman. Lu Shengge looked at Han Qian who looked ugly. Mr. Lu actually nodded in agreement and walked towards Go Cannon with a bloody wrench. Han Qian heard screams when he got in the car. Sul Yang closed the window and Han Qian put his hands on covering his face. He didn't know what to say to lighten the mood. Go Depao was also an orphan, and he was also adopted, but the family that adopted him was originally a family full of blood and criminals. The adoptive father and mother were drug addicts, and the child was adopted just to find a free servant. They had to beat and scold him, and they also became the target of his drug addiction. He had to stitch up his cuts with needles and threads, grabbed his head to close the refrigerator door, and stood in the yard in the ice and snow with nothing on. He suffered all kinds of torture. He doesn't blame his adoptive father and adoptive mother, he blames Cai Jiang. If Cai Jiang took him away, he wouldn't have to enjoy Cai Qinghu's life and receive attention, just give him a bite of food. Just one bite of rice. But Cai Jiang didn't do this, and he was exposed to drugs, violence, and pornography early in his childhood. This is why Go Depao used drugs to control the female prosecutor. He knew it, so he used this method. The drug-addicted couple abused Go Depao for 3 years. On New Year's Eve, Go Depao chopped them with an axe. He became a human again. All the hard work he did was hoping to attract Cai Jiang's attention and let him know that he was not worth cultivating. In the end, he succeeded in making Cai Jiang die because of him, but Go Depao was unwilling to give in. That's it. Died. He even wanted Cai Jiang to see how successful he was and make Cai Jiang regret it. Therefore, he hated Cai Qinghu, hated Cai Jiang, and he hated Han Qian even more. Cai Qinghu's adoptive father died, her doting grandfather died, and she became a lonely person again, just like him. But Han Qian appeared. Seeing Cai Qinghu protecting Han Qian at the party, Seeing Han Qian threatening him with a gun, Go Dapeo's anger subsided. If these were the only things, Han Qian might be soft-hearted, but he would not let Go Dapeo live. Lushenga was the best tool. It would be too easy for him to kill someone. Gu Dapao can survive because of the words he said when he got off the car. Han Qian, don't let Cai Qinghu be alone. I have killed many people, including the female prosecutor, Cai Jiang, and my adoptive father and mother. But I never thought of hurting her from the beginning to the end. Ah, it's much easier to touch her than to touch you. Cai Gun's death is well deserved, and his adopted daughter is also a daughter. He shouldn't look at her daughter with that kind of look. Aren't you very Cai Qinghu? Don't you hate her for taking everything from you? Hate. Hate. I hate him so much that I just want him to remember me. My name is Go Dapeo. I carried a baby into the orphanage in the ice and snow. I don't know why, but Han Qian's nose felt sore when he heard this sentence. Han Qian took a deep breath and said tremblingly, "That thing is rotten in my stomach. I don't want Qinghu to know that she is an orphan for the rest of my life, and I don't want." Qian'er, I got it. Brother Han, stop talking. Han Qian closed his eyes and took a deep breath, took out his cell phone and called Lushenga, growling. "You're almost done. I didn't kill him, I just broke his arm, Han Qian, to clear the obstacle." "I know, you can continue." After hanging up the phone, Han Qian went straight to the Yamen gate. Cheng Jin had already called more than 10 times. Too sleepy, typo. Wake up and change. After the divorce, the ex-wife became a creditor. Author, Ahuan. Chapter 496. Go Canon is at the beach, take the ambulance there. This was the first thing Han Qian said when he pushed open the door of Li Jinhai's office. Li Jinhai had no time to ask any more questions. He took the walkie-talkie and issued one order after another. The order alone took more than half an hour. After putting down the phone, Li Jinhai looked at Han Qian. "Qian," said in a low voice. "Someone called to report that you and Guan Daegu killed someone at the entrance to Wasteland Village. That person is Go Dapeo. He is still alive, second uncle. I have something to ask you. Can you check Go Dapeo's birth file, including all the information from the age of 1 to the present?" Li Jinhai frowned slightly, but didn't ask any more questions. He picked up the phone and informed the person in the archives office to come over and send Go Dapeo's detailed information. After waiting for another half an hour, 2 file bags were delivered and handed over to Han Qian. Li Jinhai said softly, "Xiao Qian, Go Dapeo was sent to the hospital. He was seriously injured." "I did it." Han Qian put all the blame on himself, opened the file bag and said softly, "How much medical expenses did I pay?" Li Jinhai sensed that something was wrong with Han Qian and did not ask. The sudden change of his nephew-in-law gave him too many surprises and frightened him. Li Jinhai did not object to Wen Nuan being with Han Qian before because Han Qian had good temper, smart mind, warm and humble. Now he hopes that the 2 children can reconcile, and it is no longer the case of Wen Nuan marrying off, nor Han Qian climbing high. If Li Jinhai knew everything Han Qian did, he might not think so. Han Qian has grown beyond Wen. Li Jinhai was thinking about whether to call his niece and ask her to come over and comfort Han Qian. While struggling with his cell phone, Han Qian saw the records in the archives. He chose the family where Go Dapeo was adopted. It was very close to Cai Jiang's home, but separated by a street. They had 2 living environments. His adoptive father was labeled a missing person. After reading the file, Han Qian put down the information. Perhaps Cai Qinghu was Go Dapeo's ideal and dream. He didn't want his ideal to be tarnished or his dream to be shattered. Go Dapeo is a bad guy, an out-and-out bad guy. Han Qian suddenly remembered a sentence and denied his previous thoughts. There is no such thing as inherently good. Some people are born evil, but... With a splitting headache, Han Qian was confused again. He put down the file in his hand and held his right hand tightly with his left hand. His nails had already scratched the skin. He fell ill and began to struggle with himself again. Li Jinhai called Han Qian several times but got no response. He took out his mobile phone and sent a text message to his niece. He looked at the mobile phone and saw that the message was sent successfully. Just as Li Jinhai was about to get up, the door of the office was violently pushed open, and the fragrant wind entered Han Qian like a robber. The nose, the delicate body in the arms, a pair of soft and timid hands trying to break apart Han Qian's hands. "Ms. Sir, don't hurt yourself." His voice was full of anxiety and pain, and there were choking sounds. Han Qian's eyes gradually became clear, and his anger slowly dissipated. He showed a smile, let go and gently touched Cai Qinghu's hair. "Why are you here?" The gentle voice made Cai Qinghu feel distressed. She had heard from Qian's mother and Wen Nuan that Han Qian was rarely angry with the people around him, but he would compete with himself and even hurt himself. Cai Qinghu grabbed Han Qian's hand, put it on his face and choked. "Mister, if you are unhappy or irritable, you can hit me. Please stop competing with yourself." Han Qian sighed softly and pinched Cai Qinghu's cheek gently. "I can't bear it." Perhaps starting from today, Han Qian is the only one left next to Cai Qinghu. Han Qian and Cai Qinghu are here to fight with each other. Li Jinhai is so angry that his face is blue, but many people say that he is not sure. What is the current relationship between Nuan and Han Qian, and what's the deal between them? He picked up the documents on the table and threw them on the table. A muffled sound startled Han Qian and Cai Qinghu. Li Jinhai frowned and said angrily, "Han Qian, you can leave. This is not your home. Go wherever you should. Cai Qinghu, you can leave too. You don't need to get involved in the case of hooking up with Depeo." Cai Qinghu stood up and frowned angrily. "Why?" Li Jinhai sneered. Cai Qinghu frowned and growled with a gloomy face. "It's almost the Chinese New Year." Li Jinhai smiled ruthlessly. "What does that have to do with me? Seeing off guests." Han Qian and Cai Qinghu were kicked out. They raised their heads and looked at the hazy sky. There was faint thunder, and the evening wind carried a damp smell. It was going to rain. It was also Han Qian's favorite weather. Han Qian stretched out. "Waste. No more Gouda cannons will threaten your safety in the future, Qinghu. You are relieved." Cai Qinghu hummed and held Han Qian's arm firmly. Han Qian turned his head and smiled. "Afraid I'll run away? Well, you're all I have. You still have Wu Qingxi. She will leave me when she has the man she loves. Why do I feel like you're going to cuff me with small handcuffs? Ms. Sir, let's go buy a diamond ring, one for each of us. If you wear the diamond ring, you will be mine. You know I'm not used to carrying things. I even left my watch at home. Oh, sir, I want to take charge of the case of seducing the big gun. You can go find Cheng Jin and talk to me. Don't even think about it. Mister, I bought black stockings and fishnet stockings. It's impossible for you to buy an aircraft carrier. Even if Cheng Jin asks you to take charge of the hookup case, I won't agree to it. Do you understand? Ms. Sir. My wife, be obedient." Cai Qinghu stopped being annoying, glanced at Han Qian resentfully, let go of his hand and snorted arrogantly. "Humph, I don't care, I won't care about you. My lady." Cai Qinghu knocked off Han Qian's claws with a slap and said resentfully. "What? Aren't you ignoring me? That happened a second ago, and now I'm ignoring you again." After sending Cai Qinghu away, he promised her to hang out with her for a day when she was free this month, and then she left with satisfaction. Not long after Cai Kinghu left, a warm phone call came. "Are you dead inside? Can't you come out? Come out now. What to do with the car? I'll pick it up tomorrow. Go home and sleep. I won't beat you." Nuan hung up the phone angrily, and Han Qian trotted all the way. A little scared. Nuan's questioning along the way, both soft and hard, made Han Qian's defense collapse. He told Nuan what happened recently. Nuan's reaction was very dull and he whispered to go home and sleep. After the divorce, the ex-wife became a creditor. Author, Huan. Chapter 497. Nuan kept his promise and went home to sleep without taking a shower. Han Qian did not dare to provoke Nuan at this time. He calculated that it was almost time and his aunt was about to visit her. Early the next morning, when Nuan kicked open the door of Han Qian's room, holding a toothbrush in his left hand and toothpaste in his right hand. "Let's go together later, I'll see you off." Han Qian lay on the tatami, looked at Wen Nuan, and nodded in confusion. Why did she get up so early? Strange. Han Qian was cooking in the morning, but Wen Nuan refused. She said she couldn't eat, and urged Han Qian to change clothes and go out quickly. She had something important to do today and didn't want to be late. When Wen locked the door in the car, Han Qian felt something is wrong. "I have to go to the city bureau to pick up the car." "I know." Then Nuan drove straight to Changxiang. Just as Han Qian was about to speak, she raised her free right hand, as if to tell Han Qian to slap you in the mouth when he was talking. Nuan was really hands-on. Han Qian followed the principle of taking things easy and was not here. "Open your mouth. When it's time to enjoy it," Wen Nuan said coldly. "Get off." Han Qian retorted quietly. "I have to go. Get off the car and go to my office to wait for me. I will send you breakfast soon. Don't talk. I don't want to beat you." Han Qian got out of the car with questions in his head. Nuan was right. When he arrived at the office, someone did come to deliver breakfast, but it wasn't Chang Xiao, but Yu Shisai. Han Qian found that it wasn't just Wen Nuan who was angry, but Yu Shisai seemed to be too. On the verge of going berserk, Han Qian said doubtfully after taking the buns and soy milk. "You are so angry, like a fat tiger." Yu Shisai, who was always dressed roughly, raised his head and glared at Han Qian, and then said angrily, "It's so annoying to be surrounded by a stupid guy with a bandage on his head and being around him every day." "A bandage on your head?" The first person Han Qian thought of was the guy in the bar. He took a bite of the bun and said vaguely, "Slender and tall, with the same hair as me, a little longer than me, and dyed white hair, Luo Fu. You know him?" Yu Shisai was a little surprised. Han Qian tilted his head and looked at the girl. She didn't seem to know what happened in the bar. Han Qian got interested and stood up. "Let's go to your office. When you are idle, just having fun and fighting. Arrive at the company at 9 o'clock. After lying in Yu Shisai's office for 2 hours, Nuan didn't look for him. This made Han Qian a little worried about her. He sent a text message to her. Nuan quickly replied that there was something going on and he would have to return to the company later. Han Qian frowned and replied, "Then why did you ask me to come to your company?" When Nuan didn't reply, and Han Qian didn't ask any more questions. When it was lunchtime, Han Qian sat up, stretched, and yawned in a long tone. "What are you having for lunch?" Glancing at Yu Shisai, who was working hard, Han Qian found that the mixed-race girl looked better with glasses than without them. Maybe because she put on glasses, Han Qian forgot about her getting under the bed and acting like a gangster. Yu Shisai raised his head, glanced at Han Qian, and said softly, "Rice? Dumplings? You can eat whatever you like." I'm not picky about food and I don't have food taboos, but I want to eat pizza. Why don't you put some meat on the pancakes? How about some bacon flatbreads? Let's have some domestic ones. Yushisai held her chin with one hand, held her collar with the other hand, and said softly. Actually, I prefer European and American ones. This typical female hooligan left Han Qian with nothing to do. He turned around and thought about buying lunch. As soon as his hand grasped the door handle, the door was pushed open, and a sound that made Han Qian hate him to the bone came into his ears. Assistant Yu, I ordered Western food at King Kato for noon. If you don't mind, we can eat together. Han Qian looked at the guy in front of him with a hat on his head expressionlessly, his head held high and his eyes closed when he spoke, and he frowned slightly and said in confusion. Can you look at who the other person is when you are talking? Your father taught you this. Luo Fu's height is very impressive. Han Qian needs to hold his head up to see this guy up close. He is about the same height as Wu Qingxi's mixed-race cousin, but Han Qian doesn't even remember that guy's name. Luo Fu opened his eyes and looked down at Han Qian standing in front of him, and then looked at Yushisai who was buttoning his collar. Many pictures appeared in his mind in an instant. His eyes turned red, his mouth trembled, and he roared in a low voice. Han Qian, are you molesting me? Han Qian was also stunned, frowned, and spoke. Is your brain broken? Am I opening a hole for you to treat? Luo Fu said contemptuously. Are you preparing 2 million? I don't mind. Han Qian replied with a shrug. I don't mind either, but there's no ashtray here. After saying that, Han Qian turned around and walked towards Yushisai. He picked up a Celadon pen holder on the table and weighed it in his hand. Luo Fu felt a little guilty when he saw this, but he didn't want to embarrass himself in front of women, as long as he was better than Han Qian. Awesome, Yushisai will definitely like him. Young Master Luo, who has not yet entered society, just wants to be simpler than ordinary people. Seeing Han Qian getting closer and closer, Luo Fu felt more and more unsure. When Han Qian raised the pen holder in his hand, Luo Fu ran away. Women are important, but their own heads are more important. As long as they have money, they will not the woman who can't handle it. He's just a mixed race. I'll throw money at him from now on, but Han Qian can't. Luo Fu went to find his sister and brother-in-law to seek justice, and Han Qian stood outside the door and shouted loudly. You have to cry in front of your sister, otherwise she won't believe you and call your sister to come and beat me. After saying this, Han Qian turned to look at Yushisai and laughed softly. What are you having for lunch? He didn't take Luo Fu seriously at all. If he hadn't run away just now, Han Qian wouldn't mind opening an opening for him. Han Qian and Yushisai walked downstairs side by side, wondering what to eat for lunch along the way. They just arrived on the first floor. In the hall, Luo Shen's angry roar came from behind. Han Qian. If you are not a Changxiang person, don't come to Changxiang and act wild. If you dare to threaten Luo Fu once, I want you to look good. Luo Shen's angry shout attracted many people's attention. Han Qian slowly turned around and grinned. I have the final say on whether I am good or not. I am the leader of the Liancheng team. I am qualified to appear on any occasion between the two companies. But you, Luo Shen, what the hell do you think you are? There was a lot of excitement, and people enjoying themselves gathered together and talked quietly. That man is the husband of our vice president. Luo Shen is talking about iron this time. What are you afraid of? Sister Luo's fiancé is still President Lin. Oh, you don't know, last time I almost beat 2 gangsters to death in the Liancheng group's office. What? Is it possible that he can still hit women? There was a lot of discussion. Luo Shen stared at Han Qian coldly and said sternly. I am Lin Zongheng's fiancé, and I will also be Changxiang's hostess in the future. With a roar, Han Qian sneered. at once. Are you the hostess of Changxiang? I'm enjoying the day, so don't show off your power here. Wen Nuan walked out of the crowd, and the guys who were talking in low voices hurriedly hid behind the crowd. Wen stepped on a pair of high heels, with a frosty face, and walked towards Luoshan step by step. When the two were no more than one step away, Wen waved his hand. A slap fell on Luoshan's face. Snapped. The sound is crisp and clear. Wen Nuan looked at Luoshan with cold eyes and said coldly, "If my husband doesn't hit a woman, I will." You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After the divorce, the ex-wife became a creditor. Author, Ahuan. Chapter 498. You dare to hit me? Nuan, you dare to hit me? Luoshan covered her face with disbelief in her eyes. She didn't expect that Wen Nuan would dare to hit her. In Changxiang Group, in front of all the employees, she didn't understand where Wen Nuan got the courage to hit her. But what she received in response was not an answer, but a second slap in the face. Snapped. The clear voice resounded throughout the hall, and no one dared to dissuade her, not even breathing hard. No one understood Vice President Wen's character, and they had never seen her lose her temper. She was as cold as an iceberg all day long. When it comes to beating people, it's hard to see smiling faces. Luofu, who had been standing behind Luoshan, was frightened. He stood motionless with empty eyes. Han Qian was also frightened. He had never seen such warmth. Nuan's right hand could not stop trembling, and the back of his hand was slightly red. He looked down at Luoshan with contempt and hatred in his eyes and said coldly, "Why don't I dare to hit you? The first slap is to slap you for enjoying your unreasonable troubles, and the second slap is to tell you that I will hit you wherever I want to." Luoshan covered his face and rushed towards Wen Nuan. At this time, the company's senior executives also rushed over and stepped forward to stop him. Whether it was Lin Zongheng's people or Wen's supporters, they had no good impressions of the CEO's fiancée. Luoshan's hair was disheveled and he shouted hysterically, Nuan. Just because the Wen family is awesome in the city, it doesn't mean you can dominate in any city." Nuan shook off the two senior officials who were blocking her, waved her hands and looked at Luoshan and sneered coldly. "That's enough. Does it hurt?" Luoshan went crazy. She was stopped tightly. At the same time, she did not have the courage to fight against Wen Nuan. She was more afraid of the man behind her than Wen Nuan. Lin Zongheng rushed back to the company after hearing the news, and happened to see the chaos in the lobby. Lai Buji angrily scolded the staff to disperse, rushed into the crowd and looked at the two women confronting each other. Then he saw the redness and swelling on his fiancée's face. Lin Zongheng stepped forward and pushed her away. The senior executive grabbed Luoshan and asked eagerly, "What's wrong? What happened?" Seeing Lin Zongheng, Luoshan dropped all his guard and choked with sobs. "Zongheng, please hit me with this bitch." After hearing this, Lin Zongheng turned his head and glared at Wen Nuan. Whether he really felt sorry for Luoshan or was just pretending to be a showman, at this moment he should react like this as a man. However, Lin Zongheng's eyes did not see Wen Nuan. Han Qian used one hand to putting it in his pocket and untying his tie with the other hand. He was already prepared. Lin Zongheng dared to scold Wen Nuan. He would fight him here today. There was nothing he could not tear off his face. Lin Zongheng hugged Luoshan and looked at Han Qian, but he spoke to the warmth behind him. "Vice President Wen, I need an explanation." Nuan walked out behind Han Qian and walked towards Lin Zongheng step by step. After getting closer this time, Han Qian had a kind face and smiled softly. "Mr. Lin needs an explanation? Then I'll give you an explanation." Snapped. Another slap in the face. Luo Shen, who was in Lin Zongheng's arms, could not avoid Nuan's slap. Lin Zongheng couldn't hold back anymore and roared at Nuan. Nuan, don't be so shameless. Lin Zongheng grabbed Nuan's wrist while roaring, and the next second his neck was clamped in Han Qian's hands. Let go. Han Qian's voice was cold, and he found pain in his warm eyes. How could a little girl like her withstand the clutches of a big man? Lin Zongheng persisted, and Han Qian's intensity increased. At this time, Wen Nuan said coldly, "Why did you hit your fiancée? Go and ask her yourself what she did. Wei Tiancheng has already made it clear. Everyone knows who hired Gu Dapao. I'm just slapping her now. If I can, I wish I could tear this cheap servant alive." Wen Nuan was very angry. Ever since she heard about this from Han Qian yesterday, she was very, very angry. She was so angry that she didn't sleep all night. She was so angry that she wanted to bring Han Qian to the company today. Wen Nuan had thought about it and would accompany Han Qian after her busy work. We had lunch together, and then went to find Luo Shen and Lin Zongheng to settle the account. No need to bother now. Lin Zongheng already felt it was difficult to breathe. After hearing Nuan Wen's words, he let go of his wrist. Han Qian let go of his hand, hugged Nuan Wen and looked at her red wrist. When he raised his head again, he punched Lin Zongheng in the face. Li Yang he quickly stepped forward and pushed Han Qian's fist away, saying repeatedly, young Master Han, you can't do it, you can't do it." Han Qian threw Li Yang away and looked at Lin Zongheng coldly, who growled with a gloomy expression. "I don't know what Wei Tiancheng said. When you want to suspect someone, you must first provide evidence, otherwise I, Lin Zongheng, will not let it go." Nuan rubbed his wrist, slowly raised his head, and sneered. "Doubt? Let me tell you now, I don't doubt what your fiancée did. I just want to whip her. Is this reason enough? Lin Zongheng, let me tell you now, if you have the ability, kick me out of the company. I will only be in the company for 1 day. Your fiancé Luo Shen, don't even think about taking a step into Changxiang." Lin Zongheng looked at Wen Nuan coldly and said in a deep voice. Nuan, do you want to break up?" Wen Nuan replied coldly. "Yes. Let me tell you one more thing. From this moment on, the friendship between my Wen family and the Lin family is broken." After saying this, Nuan waved his hand and led a dozen Wen party members away in a grand manner. Han Qian looked at Lin Zongheng and imitated Nuan's sneer. "We already had a falling out in the mountains and forests. What were you thinking? You idiot." Han Qian also left. When he walked towards Wen's party leaders naturally gave up their position. However, Han Qian did not walk side by side with Wen Nuan, instead he hugged Li Yang's shoulders and laughed. Face is not that important, or in other words, face is worthless compared to warmth. Today's warmth has completely declared war on Lin Zongheng for Han Qian. The people from the Wen party sent Wen Nuan all the way back to the office before leaving. The secretary took a small basin of ice packs and put it on the vice president's wrist. At this moment, Wen Nuan was no longer strong, and he raised his head and cried loudly. "It hurts. This bastard Lin Zongheng struck too hard. The aura from before is no longer there." The little secretary and Yu Shisai carefully inspected Nuan's wrist, and Yu Shisai whispered. "Han Qian, do you think Nuan's wrist is broken? Otherwise, it wouldn't hurt so much, right?" As soon as he heard that the bone was broken, Wen Nuan cried louder. Han Qian took a deep breath and walked to the desk, took Wen's little hand from Yu Shisai's, blew on the red and swollen wrist, and whispered. "It's okay, it's just a little red. If you feel the pain is unbearable, I'll break Lin Zongheng's arm now." "Don't. It doesn't actually hurt that much, I just wanted to be pretentious for a while." Yu Shisai looked at Nuan, his eyes widened, one big and one small. This. Lin Zongheng's office on the other side looked almost like this. He comforted Luo Shen in a soft voice and told him that his fiancée had nothing to do recently and should not come to the company. Then he looked at Luo Fu, who was standing at the door, and said coldly, "You are the one who fails to achieve anything but fails more than meets the eye. Get out of here and don't let me look at you again." "Zongheng, don't talk about Xiaofu." Lin Zongheng looked at Luo Shen for a moment, then sighed. Even now, he was still feeling sorry for her good-for-nothing brother. After the divorce, the ex-wife became a creditor. Author, Ahuan. Chapter 499. In the evening, I sat across from my father-in-law. The table was filled with seafood. Wen Nuan liked to eat it, and so did Li Jinhe. Only a plate of fried shredded pork with hot peppers was Han Qian's favorite. This is. The shredded pork is a bit spicy. The white wine is also a bit spicy. Han Qian really didn't like drinking liquor, but his mother-in-law said that if he didn't drink it, Wen she couldn't drink it either. From the moment he sat at the dinner table, Han Qian had been looking at Wen she with resentful eyes. "Dad, is it spicy?" Wen she chuckled softly. "I don't eat chili peppers, so don't eat them either. Don't eat whatever your mother gives you. Pick out the chili peppers and throw them away." Han Qian sighed. "You cannot refuse what your parents give you. Then just be cool. Lin Men called me today and said that you and Xiao Nuan had a conflict with Lin Zongheng and his wife at the company. Xiao Nuan said that he wanted to break off the relationship with the Lin family." Han Qian nodded, and just as he was about to speak, his father-in-law picked up the wine glass and smiled. "The friendship of the older generation belongs to the older generation and has nothing to do with you. If you like to make trouble, go ahead and make trouble. If you win, I will be happy. If you lose, your mother and I still have some savings and we can live the same life. You too can see this. Just take care of it. Drinking and drinking, it's not easy to catch them both at home." Han Qian smiled and ate crabs heartlessly. Big love. Sleeping on the same bed again, Han Qian took a shower and got into bed wearing a pair of underwear. The warmth of a cool nightgown lifted the quilt and got on the bed. He took his hand very naturally and rested it on his arm. The graceful body was pressed against Han Qian's chest. Han Qian frowned and raised his other hand to poke Warm's shoulder. "Are you feeling quite comfortable? You're leaning on your arms and looking at your phone. It's hard for me to turn over." Nuan turned over and looked at Han Qian with wide eyes, then grabbed Han Qian's arm and threw it aside, and then hugged Han Qian's head. "Sister, I will hug you to sleep." If this were at home, Han Qian would have bundled Nuan under the quilt and thrown it back to her room. "How are you preparing for the hospital?" Nuan let go of Han Qian and said softly. "The review has been passed, and the land negotiation is almost done. According to the Yeomanman's wishes, it will be renamed the Municipal Second People's Hospital, and it will be under the unified management of the Health Bureau, Supervision Bureau, and Medical Insurance Bureau. It is very messy. I don't understand it very well. I am only responsible for it. Come up with a plan and leave the rest to the people below. I'm going to bed, so don't talk to me." Nuan doesn't like two people lying in bed talking about work, and she doesn't like working either. We spent the night together peacefully, and the next morning Nuan insisted on taking Han Qian to enjoy Kailan Zongheng, but Han Qian had something to do today, so he refused Wen and took a taxi to the city bureau to pick up the car. He also had another purpose in going to the city bureau. I met Go Depeo once and asked about Cai Jiang's personality. When he arrived at the city bureau, Han Qian did not rush to find Li Jinhai. Instead, he called Wu Qingxi and chatted with Wu Qingxi for a long time. Han Qian knew something, or some of Cai Qinghu's family secrets. From Li Jinhai's mouth, Han Qian learned something else. Cai Qinghu was born in the United States. Accompanied by Li Jinhai, I met Go Daipeo in the hospital. He was recovering well. There were only two of them in the ward. Han Qian was sitting beside the hospital bed. He still hated Gu Dapao. He didn't hurt Cai King Hu, but he hurt Tan Jiao. Han Qian knew clearly that bad people are bad people. Go Daipeo is different from Feng Lun. Throwing a cigarette and lighter to Go Daipeo, Han Qian said softly. I came here today to ask you a few things. Who hired you to cause trouble for me? Go Daipeo sneered. Do you think I will tell you? I won't tell you anything. I can survive in prison. I won't impose the death penalty. At most, I will take drugs and rob, but if I tell you, I will die. Like Feng's Haida. Go Daipeo remained silent, enjoying the pleasure brought by nicotine. Han Qian knew that during the short period of time Go Daipeo was hospitalized, someone had tipped him off, or that someone had threatened him. Han Qian did not ask further questions and continued. Road. A lot of what you said is false. I was almost deceived by you and thought Cai Jiang was a beast. Go Daipeo raised his head and looked at Han Qian with a bit of doubt in his eyes. He watched Han Qian take out a piece of paper and put it on the hospital bed. Go Daipeo took the paper and took a look, then raised his head and glared at Han Qian. You're lying to me. Not a question, but an affirmation. Han Qian shook his head and said calmly. I tore this from Cai Jiang's file. Cai Jiang was a eunuch. He couldn't be humane, so he adopted Cai King Hu in the orphanage. But it was a secret. After adopting Cai King Hu, he went to the United States for a while and came back. He brought a daughter with him when he was married, so your claim that Cai Jiang has abnormal feelings for Cai King Hu is untrue. Could it be that you don't know that Cai Jiang is a eunuch? Go Daipeo's eyes were confused, and then he shook his head in denial. No, what you said is wrong. Cai Jiang is married. I think he bought condoms. Han Qian shook his head gently. Condoms are not necessarily used for contraception, they can also play a lubricating role. Not only is Cai Jiang inhumane, he is also a homosexual. He doesn't like women. That's why he didn't inherit the family property and instead went to the Yamen Gate. The reason for taking office is that he doesn't want everyone to know about himself, and he doesn't want to be discovered that he likes men. If he said he adopted a boy, I might believe what you said. No, Han Qian, you are wrong. I have seen Cai Jiang carrying Cai King Hu into the bathroom. How old was Cai King Hu at that time? This question made Go Daipeo silent. After a long time, he whispered 6 words. Han Qian wanted to hit this guy to death with a hammer. Isn't it normal for the father of the child to give a 6-year-old a bath? Han Qian looked at Go Daipeo and frowned. So everything you think is wrong. Cai Jiang doted on Cai King Hu very much. He knew that he would never have any more children. Before his death, he sent Cai King Hu to work in the Yeomanmen through his connections. It was also he who asked his father not to give Cai King Hu any money. Stay in the company, give her money, and let her live a carefree life. Cai Jiang has a deep love for Cai King Hu, and Cai King Hu is not alone. Even if I disappear, she will not be there, because her father and her grandfather are still here. Still protecting her. Go Daipeo admits it, but his truth has collapsed over the years. He cannot accept this reality. Is Cai Jiang gay? He wasn't prepared to have any thoughts about Cai King Hu. Impossible, this is absolutely impossible. Cai Jiang is a despicable person. He must have been worried that he would spoil his big deal by not adopting him. Seeing Go Daipeo gradually losing his mind, Han Qian laughed softly. And you didn't kill your adoptive parents. They just disappeared. Go Daipeo raised his head, gritted his teeth and growled. They are dead. After taking drugs, they still wanted to torture me. I chopped off their heads with an axe. I dismantled their bodies and fed them to wild dogs. Han Qian chuckled. Stop making trouble. You don't have the ability to hook a cannon. They just disappeared. Go De Peo tilted his head and looked at Han Qian, gritting his teeth and growling. Han Qian, do you also question me? Do you also think I am a waste? Let me tell you, I killed the person, and I buried the head in that yard. No, you don't dare. Han Qian. Go De Peo roared, and the handcuff chain on the bed was pulled straight by him, and he roared angrily. I killed them. I chopped off the man's head with an axe and chopped the woman to death with a kitchen knife who was still laughing when she saw the blood on the ground. They had hallucinations after taking drugs. She didn't know what danger was. I am not a useless person, I am not timid, I dare to kill people. Han Qian stood up and bowed to Gu Pao. Well, I believe you. After finishing his words, Han Qian stood up and left the ward. Li Jinhai approached with someone, and Go De Peo was stunned. At this time, Han Qian's voice came from outside the door. Director Li, is that enough? As for the third chapter, it depends on fate. I fell asleep and I don't know if I can write it when I wake up. After the divorce, the ex-wife became a creditor. Author, Ahuan. Chapter 500. When Go De Peo said that he would not be sentenced to death, Han Qian had the idea in his mind that Go De Peo should die or stay in prison for the rest of his life. This guy could not come out, for his own safety and for the sake of that person. A female prosecutor who encounters misfortune in killing people. Gu Pao is a bad guy and he should be punished. Even if he encountered misfortune in his childhood, you can't let your misfortune fall on an innocent person. You torture her, you destroy her, you kill her. Everyone is their parents' baby bump. Han Qian knew that Go De Peo would never kill just these three people. After leaving the hospital, the haze in Han Qian's heart disappeared. He was almost deceived by Gu Pao and almost misunderstood Cai Jiang. As soon as he got in the car, Cai Qinghu calculated the time and called. He seemed to be still under the quilt and shouted sweetly. Sounds fair. After feeling bored for a while, Cai Qinghu asked Han Qian in a low voice if he wanted to go find her and sleep in his cage. Han Qian was a little moved, and he was really moved. After experiencing nursery rhymes for the second time, Han Qian found that his resistance had become weaker and he was easily tempted. But he still changed the subject with a smile. How is the car being repaired? Cai Qinghu got out of bed, looked at the naked and perfect figure in the mirror, and sighed quietly. Is the car more attractive than me? Forget it, let's not argue with you, a straight man. You called me yesterday and told me you could pick it up. I knew you were anxious to use it, so I asked them to work overtime to repair it. If you have the key, just go and get it, I'll text you the address, and I've already given them the money. Han Qian started the car and smiled. I understand, I want to tell you one thing. Hooking up a cannon may result in a life sentence or the death penalty. I'm going to buy some wine to celebrate tonight. My husband, please buy me some fireworks. Isn't it childish? I am willing. Do you want to go to work? Should I go to your company to find you? Go dress up and take you to play. Great. Cai Qinghu hung up the phone happily. Han Qian smiled at the phone and drove to pick up Cai Qinghu. Today, Miss Qinghu was dressed in sportswear, with her hair in a ponytail and a peaked cap. After getting in the car, she kissed Han Qian hard on the face. Mister, where should we go to play? Han Qian wiped the saliva from his face and smiled. I don't know, I just want to take you out for a walk. Well, I'll take you to learn etiquette. If you don't like coffee, you don't like Western food, let's go and play golf. I know Gorky. I hate it, I'll drive, you're driving too slow, mister. It seems that except for Jijing, the other girls don't like letting Han Qian drive. In Yan Qingqing's words, it seems like he is an old cow and the performance of the car is wasted. Han Qian never quite understood the joy of golf. There were not many people on the golf course. Han Qian thought it was very simple. He just used a pole to pull the ball out. After 10 minutes, the ball was less than 20 meters away. Meters, there were many potholes on the lawn. Han Qian raised his head and looked at Cai Qinghu with a frown, and said softly, "Let's stop playing. I'm not here to play ball. I'm here to farm." Not only Han Qian couldn't hold on anymore, but the staff responsible for mowing the lawn on the side were a little distressed, not for the land, but for the money Han Qian spent here. Cai Qinghu stood up and walked behind Han Qian, hugging Han Qian from behind. Holding his hand and teaching Han Qian how to play, Cai Qinghu was gentle and patient at first, but as time went by, she became irritable. "Mister, are your hands made of steel bars? Can you bend them a little? Mister, please bend your legs a little bit. Look at the ball. Why do you always look at the hole? Just predict the distance. Forget it, mister, stop playing around, you are really here to farm." When Cai Qinghu said the next sentence, Han Qian felt embarrassed, put down the club, lowered his head and whispered, "Did I embarrass you? Everyone is looking at me." Cai Qinghu couldn't help but smile when he looked at Han Qian, held Han Qian's wrinkled face, kissed him, and said with a smile, "My husband is so wise and powerful that mortals like them can peep at me. Let's go. Let's not play anymore and go shooting." Cai Qinghu took Han Qian's hand and left the court. "I originally thought I was going to a shooting gallery to shoot a gun, but I didn't expect to come to the Changxiang video game city." Cai Qinghu and Han Qian were shooting monsters with electric guns. Cai Qinghu, who is brave at work, looked like a little girl when playing this, and was beaten by the monsters. If frightened, he will scream and shoot randomly with his eyes closed. Han Qian remembered playing this with Wen Nuan. When played with this machine, she held a gun in one hand. No matter what kind of monster scared her, she had no expression on her face. Han Qian asked her why she wasn't scared, and Wen confidently said it was fake. There is nothing to be afraid of. In comparison, playing with Cai Qinghu is more interesting and has a youthful atmosphere. Watching Cai Qinghu race seriously in the game, Han Qian sat aside with a fruit drink and coins in his hands, ready to renew Cai Qinghu's life at any time. Cai Qinghu would change the game if he lost, and she had no interest in pinching dolls. "Son," he actually encouraged Han Qian to play the dance machine. Han Qian was too embarrassed to go up, so he asked Wen Cai Qinghu if she knew how to dance. Lady Cai sighed. "I really don't know how. When little carrots comes, you ask her to dance for you, by the way. Why did you call her yesterday?" Han Qian pinched Cai Qinghu's cheek and smiled. "It's just to get to know you. I want to see what you like and give it to you when the time comes." After saying this, Cai Qinghu looked at Han Qian with some resentment and whispered, "I like cars. Didn't you give it to me as a gift? How about you give it to me? Let's go. I'll take you to a $10 snack." Cai Qinghu replied proudly, "No. I want to eat spicy hot pot for 6 yuan. Then I can't do it 13 times. Disgusting." In the fast food area on the 4th floor, Cai Qinghu still did not choose the 6 yuan malatang. Instead, he chose the rice set meal like Han Qian. Han Qian devoured it. Cai Qinghu gave Han Qian the meat on the plate, and after 2 bites, he was full of it. When he couldn't stop, he looked at Han Qian with his chin in one hand and said softly, "Mr. Sir, are we in love?" Han Qian tilted his head and thought for a while, then bowed his head and continued to eat without answering. Cai Qinghu did not continue to ask, and she did not expect to get the answer. If Han Qian could answer her, he could also answer others. Cai King Hu also knew that he and Han Qian has no advantage over the women around him. After the meal, Cai King Hu took Han Qian to get a massage. It is better to say that Han Qian took Cai King Hu to play, rather than Cai King Hu taking Han Qian to play. During the massage, Cai King Hu called the repair shop and would pick up the car in the afternoon. Just as she hung up, Qian Ling called. "I heard that you hit someone's car." Han Qian whispered awkwardly. "Yes. Come home tonight." "Good. Remember to buy groceries." "No." Han Qian hung up the phone and Cai King Hu smiled. "Now Qian Ling treats you like a son, husband. Does this count as my future mother-in-law?" Han Qian scratched his head. "I don't know either. Are you going with me tonight?" No, I'll accompany you to pick up the car. I'm going to the capital to find Xiaoluoshui to relax. I have to share with him about hooking up with the big gun. Be safe." "Mister, are you going?" You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After the divorce, the ex-wife became a creditor. Author, Ahuan. Chapter 501. 500 chapters. In Qian Ling's mansion, the old housekeeper opened the door and called the young master, brought water and called the young master. Even when he went to the bathroom, he called him the young master. Han Qian was hiding on the balcony smoking, and the old housekeeper appeared quietly behind him. "Master, you can smoke in the house." It was like a ghost. Han Qian was really a little scared. He took the ashtray handed over by the old butler, said nothing, and continued to smoke. It was impossible to chat with this old man. He smiled when it was good and he smiled when he was bad. At that time, Han Qian scolded him tentatively, but the old man still smiled. Han Qian was really afraid of this kind of old guy. He was even more panicked than when he saw Feng Lun and Go De Peo. After smoking half a cigarette, Han Qian couldn't hold it anymore, handed the ashtray to the old man, turned around and ran into the living room, sat on the single sofa and whispered, "Auntie, where did you find this weird old man? Why is he so neurotic?" "Master, you shouldn't say behind my back that this old man like me is neurotic." The old housekeeper was like a ghost and walked without making any sound. Cold sweat appeared on Han Qian's frightened forehead. Qian Ling smiled when she saw this. "Okay, you two, stop making trouble." "Han Qian, I heard Ji Jing say something recently, and I have a general understanding of your affairs." Having said this, Qian Ling kicked the skull bag placed beside her legs and said softly, "I heard that you haven't received your salary, and you also crashed Cai King Hu's car. Suliang is getting married, and your parents are coming to the city. You don't have any money in your hand. You can use it first. You are helping me so much. You can't just say you're a member of the family and forget about it." Han Qian glanced at his skull bag, which was about 500 to 600,000, and pulled it over with a smile. "Being respectful is worse than obeying orders. I feel that my aunt is the most beautiful." Han Qian was welcome and Qian Ling felt comfortable. At the dinner table, Qian Ling asked about what happened between Han Qian and Lin Zongheng. Han Qian did not hide his thoughts from Qian Ling. He told Qian Ling everything about his initial grudge with Lin Zongheng and then back to the mountains, and he also explained it bluntly. "Lin Zongheng and I can't tolerate each other. Wei Tiancheng wants to blame Luo Shen. Wen Nuan doesn't want me to be a fool, so he made the matter clear. If Luo Shen has any grievances, he can vent his anger on Wei Tiancheng." Qian Ling nodded, then looked at Han Qian with an ambiguous face and smiled. "Xiao Qian, I heard something. Lu Shengge's younger brother Lu Shenggu hates you to the core." It seems that it's because of a girl. I asked about it. This girl's name is Tanjeo. When this matter was brought up, Han Qian looked a little embarrassed and said awkwardly while holding the bowl. Auntie, why are you still curious about this matter? Qian Ling immediately frowned and said angrily. How can I not be curious? In the future, Wan Wan will inherit the shares in my hands. The only thing I can rest assured is you as my elder brother. But you have no intention of taking over the company. I must be curious about the relationship between you and Yan Qingqing. Wan Wan wants you and Yan Qingqing have a love-hate entanglement. Why is Wan Wan still in the company? Qian Wan and Han Qian tilted their heads and looked at Qian Ling at the same time, wondering. What? Qian Ling simply gave up on Qian Wan and frowned at Han Qian. Don't you understand? What I mean is that I will not let Lu Shengge sit peacefully as the chairman of Glory forever, and judging from Wan Wan's current situation, there is no way she can become a qualified shareholder. The shares in your hand need to be handed over to a trustworthy person. You, the elder brother, have no intention of managing the company. I deliberately choose Yan Qingqing, and then, if you and Yan Qingqing break up, how can I safely hand over Wan Wan? Give her. Han Qian frowned and whispered after hearing this. Auntie, are you too hasty? If there are fewer girls around you, I will definitely not be as good as me. Wen Nuan and Yan Qingqing are sworn enemies. They are in two competing companies. They are both proud girls. Can they work together with the same husband? What the hell? Han Qian's face turned red instantly and he murmured softly. Auntie, what are you talking about? How can, that's not the case. Qian Ling raised her eyebrows. Isn't that the case? I think it's not just Yan Qingqing and Wen Nuan, but also the little rich woman Cai King Hu, Ji Jing who is ambiguous with you in the glory planning department, and the assistant Yu Shisai who suddenly showed up, and now another one appears nursery rhymes, and even jealous of Lu Shengguo, Han Qian. Do you feel that Lu Shengge is not enough to give you a headache? Han Qian lowered his head and whispered back. I really don't think Lu Shengge is a dish. Snapped. Qian Ling slapped the case and said angrily. I'm selfish. I only have 2 children, you and Wan Wan. Whether Wan Wan's future will be good or bad depends on you. How can I not worry about it? Choose one to get married early, and the rest will be a big deal after marriage. Secretly, out of my own selfishness, I suggest you choose Yan Qingqing. You gave her the shares, and she will listen to you more than Wen Nuan. At this time Qian Wan suddenly spoke. Aunt, what should I do with Sister Wen Wen? Aunt Li's temper seems to be not very good. Why don't you just sell the shares? I can live just as well with the money. After saying this, Han Qian quickly put down his bowls and chopsticks and hugged Qian Wan in his arms, then slapped him heavily on his shoulder. Han Qian ignored the slap and whispered. You have a lot of money, you can't stand it without being beaten. How can you talk like this? It's your aunt's hard work. She just sells it? Who can afford it? Qian Ling glared at Qian Wan fiercely and didn't even bother to preach. She couldn't do anything about it just because she was old and didn't have brains. Han Qian let go of Qian Wan, and the girl changed positions with Han Qian while holding the bowl. In fact, Han Qian was also a little scared, so he sat on Qian Ling's left-hand side and whispered. Aunt, there should be no problem. I think Mr. Yan and Qian Wan have a good relationship. After you hand over the shares to Qian'er, I will help her open the board of directors. You don't need to find anyone to take care of the company. I will wait until later. If Yan Qingqing takes control of the entire glory, wouldn't it be nice for Qian Wan to be Prince Anil at home? Qian Ling's frown relaxed, and Qian Wan held the bowl and whispered. Brother Qian'er, are you like the queen? Han Qian did not dare to answer. Qian Ling ordered Han Qian to give her this uncompromising thing. Han Qian looked up and played at Qianwan's head and disgusted. Go, go, eat your food, don't ask questions that shouldn't be asked. Oh. Qianwan listened to Han Qian more than Qianling. This silly girl stopped talking nonsense. Han Qian also breathed a sigh of relief. At this time, Qianling spoke. Han Qian, I asked you to get married so that you would have less trouble in the future. Let me tell you this, the girls around you now, with the exception of Ji Jing, are almost all thinking about you as your girlfriend. Life, you are not young anymore. You are a boy. Your parents don't know that you and Nuan are divorced. They are not in a hurry, but what about these girls? I won't talk about Cai Qinghu and Ji Jing, but where are the remaining girls? If their parents force them to get married, they will definitely tell their parents that they have a boyfriend. What should you do when their parents want to meet this so-called boyfriend? Han Qian was confused. He should have thought of this a long time ago. He took a few girls home for the holidays. Will he be taken home by a few girls? How to introduce someone when we are alone together? What should I do if I ask when to get married? Panic. Han Qian panicked a little, put down his chopsticks, frowned and sighed. Auntie, what should I do? Choose one to get married early. If the rest still want to be with you, they will find a way on their own. Marry. It's so easy for me, Han Qian, to die with just one shot to the head, but this marriage? A strange picture appeared in my mind. Han Qian sighed and lay on the dining table. Auntie, this is harder than climbing to heaven. After the divorce, the ex-wife became a creditor. Author, A Huan. Chapter 502. Han Qian, who left Qianling's villa with his skull bag on his back, couldn't laugh. His mind was full of question marks and he closed his eyes and sighed. The car has its own way to the mountain. Go home. When Han Qian opened the door and looked at the three women drinking beer around the dining table, Han Qian frowned and growled in a low voice. Do you think this is an inn? Next time I want to cause trouble, can I go to your home? My home smells good. Yu Shisai shook the red wine glass, his face turned bright red, he narrowed his eyes and smiled. Your house is clean. There is no room for me and Tanjao's house to sit. I have too many clothes. This is a crime of murder, otherwise you wouldn't be alive now, Yu Shisai. Han Qian took off his shoes and walked into the living room. Yu Shisai suddenly reached out and untied his clothes, revealing his round and white shoulders, and gave Han Qian a wink. Come on. Kill me in your most manly manner. Snapped. Tanjao slapped Yu Shisai on the shoulder and said disdainfully. Can you have some potential? Even if you are lustful, you can't like this. What a scumbag. Yu Shisai didn't mind the slap at all. He clasped his hands on his chest, raised his head with eyes full of ecstasy, and sighed. God, let me meet a scumbag like Han Qian, let me taste the pain of love, and let me lose weight. Work hard. Snapped. After being slapped again, this time Yu Shisai gave up and turned around to glare at Tong Yao and growled. Teacher Tong, do you want to fight? Tong Yao shrugged indifferently, then pointed at the dim warmth and said softly. She suffered the pain of love, and it was Han Qian's. Do you think she lost weight? Or did you see her working hard? Yu Shisai stared at Nuan's face seriously, then waved his hand and retorted in a nonchalant tone. Her? She doesn't even know what love is. If you tell her, you're talking to a cow. As for you saying she doesn't work hard, I agree with you. Warmth. Give me a salary increase. Nuan, who had been drunk and had a hard-working brain, came back to her senses and stared at Yu Shisai for a long time. When Yu Shisai felt a little unsure, she spoke. Increase salary. Increase it tenfold. Wait a minute, I'll record it on my phone, otherwise you'll default on your debt tomorrow. Han Qian wiped his hair and walked out of the bathroom, stretched out his hand to grab Yushisai's mobile phone, and said softly. Why are you bullying her? Drink your wine. Yushisai glared at Han Qian with his mouth puffed out. Nuan and I are joking. If you protect her like this, it will create a gap between us best friends. Tong Yao answered with a sneer. I'm going to tell Nuan tomorrow that you tricked her into giving you a salary increase. Yushisai smiled, leaned closer to the nursery rhyme, and said with an ambiguous expression. Don't go too far. This way, this is enough. Tanjao's face instantly turned pale, and she looked at Yushisai in a panic, then turned to look at Han Qian, her eyes full of pleading. Only then did Han Qian remember what Yushisai said and slapped her on the forehead. He slapped him and frowned. Have fun, don't fight, and I'll take you two home after you finish the drink. Yushisai glared at Han Qian. No. Go. Home. Then you sleep in my room, and nursery rhyme sleeps in the guest room. Han Qian answered calmly. Yushisai looked at Han Qian suspiciously and whispered. Then where do you sleep? Nuan and I sleep in the same room. No. Okay. No. The three women spoke at the same time, saying use poems and nursery rhymes. However, neither of them said that they did not want Han Qian and Nuan to sleep together, but for Nuan's safety. Han Qian was a gentleman, and all of them everyone admits that he will not take advantage of others, but warm and drank. As for this, it's okay. It's warmth. Han Qian ignored when Nuan looked at use poems and nursery rhymes with confusion, and whispered. Why not? After saying this, she was kicked on the calf, and Tong Yao said angrily. If it doesn't work, it won't work. Why do you talk so much nonsense? Now Yushisai was curious and looked at the nursery rhyme with strange eyes. Why did you react so much? Nursery rhyme glared. Are you different from me? You drank too much. It's time to go home. Han Qian will take us home. Forget it, I'm too lazy to drive. You two will sleep in my room, and I'll sleep on the first floor. I'm almost ready to tidy up. Look at Nuan, I'm already drunk. Nuan sat at the dining table and smiled stupidly. Tong Yao sighed helplessly and stood up to clean up the dishes. Yushisai helped Nuan upstairs and sent her to bed. This amount of alcohol was nothing to Tong Yao and Yushisai. At 9 o'clock in the evening, Han Qian was watching the game. He knew one person on the entire basketball court. He was wearing the yellow jersey number 24 of a certain team. Han Qian didn't know much about the East and the West. He was just watching a game. After washing the dishes, nursery rhyme went up to the second floor. At this time, Yushisai happened to come down from the second floor, wearing a warm black nightgown with wet hair and a seductive smell. She sat next to Han Qian, and the fragrance was fragrant. Yushisai winked at Han Qian. I look good. Regarding the appearance of Yushisai, Han Qian gave an honest answer. Beautiful, being mixed race does add a touch of exotic beauty to you, but, why don't your eyes look as big as they did during the day? Yushisai looked at Han Qian blankly as if struck by lightning, slowly raised his head, pointed at his eyes, and said seriously. It's true that Nuan said you are sick. I should really take you to have your head looked at? You wear makeup during the day. If you have eyelashes or eyeliner, your eyes will look bigger. I will give you some extra lessons. I don't learn. What you said doesn't count. I'm going to get a warm cosmetic bag. Inside the second drawer of her dresser, the gray one. At this time, nursery rhyme appeared on the stairs of the second floor, blushing and whispering. Has Han Nuan any unworn underwear? Han Qian tilted his head and frowned. She basically wears tube tops, and there are very few small bras. Besides, you can't wear them. She does have panties. There is a small blue box in the first drawer on the left side of her wardrobe that she has never worn. Oh. Tanjiro turned around and went upstairs. Yushisai looked at Han Chien with curiosity. Then Tanjiro ran from the second floor to the bathroom on the first floor. At the door of the bathroom on the first floor, Tanjiro suddenly stopped and turned around. Han Chien, are there any new towels at home? There will be a new one in the bathroom on the second floor. If you didn't see it, it's probably being used by both of them. You can use mine. The gray one is for wiping your feet and the red one is for wiping your face. Where's the body wiper? You can figure it out yourself, just two. Then I'll wipe my face with you. Oh. Han Chien said carelessly, and then spoke to Yushisai. Why don't you take the makeup box? Draw me something like Avatar. Yushisai glared at Han Chien and said angrily. Won't. Then you are still a teacher. Han Chien, I will fight with you. Yushisai pounced on Han Chien, and the two were playing and quarreling. The spring light filled the entire living room, but Han Chien really didn't have the heart to look at it. He was thinking about other things. After about 10 minutes, Nursery Rhymes was in the bathroom. Half of the face was exposed at the door. Han, where is the warm one? Han Chien, who was holding Yushisai's wrist, said doubtfully. What? Oh, you mean the large band-aid? There is one in the box on the sink in the bathroom on the second floor. I'm not sure if it is there anymore. There is one in the bedside table on the left side of the warm room. I remember I bought it last time. She has put it inside. Please help Teacher Tong get the poems. The nursery rhyme is coming. After Yushisai went upstairs, Han Chien asked in a low voice. I remember your aunt was not at this time. Tong Yao hammered her head in annoyance and whispered. It's not allowed when I go home for the Chinese New Year. It might be. Tong Yao suddenly shut up and closed the bathroom door hard. Han Chien tilted his head and muttered softly. Could it be that it's the two of us? At this moment, Yushisai came down, took the things to the bathroom, and then lay down on the sofa and sighed. Did Wen Nuan find you with a microscope? Her life has been clearly taken care of by you. Do you remember where her underwear, panties, and towels are? Do you remember Aunt Wen Nuan? It seems to be around the 13th of every month. It shouldn't be more than a day or two before and after. She used to be tired from work and her stomach would hurt when she came to visit, so I remembered it. Han Chien, my stomach hurts too. Take off your underwear and let me see if there is any blood. Boom. There was a noise from the bathroom on the first floor, and Han Chien shut up obediently.